problem, but it's likely a problem with a technological fix. I'm sure our House of Commons IT team could arrange a way for members to still heckle, but whereby hecklers come through at a much lower register and without their video showing. Absent that change,
I think we'll interrupt the honourable member there at that point, perhaps at a logical juncture for his remarks, and he will have 3 minutes remaining in his time for his remarks when the House next gets back to debate on the question, and then, of course, the usual time for questions and comments. But we'll now go to statements by members. Déclaration de député. The honourable member for Don Valley East.
Mr. Speaker, people across Canada will celebrate World Interfaith Harmony Week, February 1st to 7th, 2021, in the spirit of the October 10th, 2010 United Nations resolution sponsored by His Majesty King Abdullah II of Jordan. The resolution calls for people to come together and learn about each other, which in today's environment is extremely important. Even as people must socially distance, technology has enabled Canadians to celebrate this week with enthusiasm, and this continues to grow. The events of 2021 are primarily virtual and subject to rules of assembly as cities across Canada come together in the spirit of the UN resolution. I would like to recognize the tremendous work of the Toronto Steering Committee for launching and championing the week since 2013 and for their continuous dedication to harmony and peace. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Mississauga, Aaron Mills.
Speaking of bad heckling, Mr. Speaker, the stats on mental health in Canada were concerning even before COVID. During these past 10 months, we've seen an alarming increase in the number of Canadians struggling with mental health, an increase in substance abuse, overdose, and opioid-related deaths. This pandemic has left people isolated, anxious, and uncertain of what the future holds. Now more than ever, we need a national strategy to support mental health for Canadians. We need all levels of government, civil society, and individual Canadians to come together to end the stigma and increase the resources for mental health. There is help out there, whether it's through wellness hotline, Hope for Wellness hotline, Kids Help Phone, or family and friends. I'll remind us to be kind to ourselves and to each other. It's okay to not feel okay all the time, and we're all in this together. Thanks, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Mission, Matsqui, Fraser Canyon.
Mr. Speaker, on January 17th, my community of Mission rallied behind Max. Max was bullied and abused at school. It was filmed by fellow students and posted online. It was a sad day for our community. To help them recover, residents of Mission and friends from across BC rallied behind Max and their family. Hundreds of vehicles, horses, and even a flyby by local pilots kicked off a parade to stand against bullying and to help this child heal. Participants decorated their cars, made supportive signs, and left gifts for Max while following COVID-19 protocols. Thank you to the entire Braich family, AJ Gopinath, Clark Griswold, LaCamel First Nation, Amy Greenhalgh, Councillor Harar, Acting Mayor Gill, and the family and so many others who helped pull off this successful event. Mission, thank you for standing against violence, and thank you for supporting Max. Max, thank you for your bravery. No person should ever have to face what you experience. So today, on your behalf, in the People's House of Commons, I say no to bullying.
The honourable member for Nepean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. February 10th marks the 81st anniversary of the first mass deportation of Polish citizens to Siberia and the Soviet Union during the World War II. More than 1 million were forcefully displaced. Many died from disease, starvation, and terrible conditions. Most never returned to their homeland. Because of the pandemic, the Canadian Polish Club is unable to organize a commemoration event. A prominent community figure of Nepean, Miss Alice Basarke, was born during the deportation. Her family escaped to refugee settlements in India, and her father joined the Royal Air Force. After the war, her family migrated to Canada. Let us not forget about this tragedy, not only Ali's story, but of all the other survivors, a story of hardship and amazing resilience. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Terrebonne. Mr. Speaker, last January 20th, Corporal Dupré left us at the age of 40. He enrolled in 1987 in the 22nd Regiment till he was released in 2015. He was a volunteer and a man of action. He went to former Yugoslavia and served twice in Afghanistan. During his second mission in Afghanistan, there was a suicide bomber in a long convalescence. He then rejoined his unit. Few men can say they're a war hero and a hero of life at the same time. He was strong and resilient. He was a model for hundreds of soldiers and veterans across the country. I want to express my sincere condolences to members of his battalion and his close family and friends, and particularly his two children, Noemi and Anthony. We will always remember you. We miss you. Rest in peace, my friend. I will remember you. The Honourable Member for Madawaska-Restigouche.
Mr. Speaker, today my thoughts are with the people of Madawaska-Restigouche and particularly for what we call Zone Number 4. Cette zone numéro 4 est passée au
This zone went into the red and locked down for more than a week ago. I raise my hat to all the essential workers who continue to make our lives as normal as possible despite the pandemic. I also want to thank all the business leaders who in these difficult days continue to hold the fort down.
Whether at school, college, or university, who are seeing their life turned upside down. Thanks for hanging on there in face of such adversity. Pour nos aînés qui ne peuvent
For seniors who can no longer see their loved ones in person, we admire your courage and resilience. We love you a lot, and we cannot wait to hug you again. And to all of Madawaska-Restigouche, stay strong. Together we will beat this.
Ça va bien aller.
It's going to be okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, let's talk about GameStop. I'm in no position to give people investment advice, whether to sell or hold the line. But what is clear is that this story turns the logic of the stock market on its head. People are making investment decisions which are motivated not by money, but instead by the desire to counter the perceived manipulative behavior of hedge funds. Now, some of these risks will pay off and some will not. But these actions show an intuitive sense of justice as opposed to personal financial interest being at the heart of so much human decision-making. And thank goodness for that. I wonder if this will be a jumping off point for more mass investor action in pursuit of justice, punishing companies who profit from slave labor, for example. This both disrupts and demonstrates the power of markets. While governments are often slow and ineffective when responding to issues of systemic injustice, and large institutions are bound to invest based solely on return, small investors can disrupt the system by bringing their values to the table. With this great power comes great responsibility.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Working together and seeing government leadership at all levels does matter, and it saves lives. Usually known for our challenging winters, last November, Manitoba led the country as the COVID hotspot of Canada. Our test positivity rate was higher than any other place per capita. The number of people catching the virus was at a high. In the face of that reality, Manitobans banded together to find solutions. Together, we focused on the fundamentals. We wore the masks. We listened to our health experts and community leaders. We supported our vulnerable community members through one of the toughest times they've faced. Now we're seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Our case numbers have dropped, and our major cities are coming back to life. Mr. Speaker, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Canada has secured solid commitments to vaccines, and every Canadian will have access to be vaccinated for free and safely before the end of September.
The Honourable Member for Surrey Centre.
Mr. Speaker, youth gang and gun violence has impacted my community in Surrey and the entire Lower Mainland for decades. Last week, I was able to meet with Brian Isabo from the Surrey Anti-Gang Family Empowerment Program, a federally funded program which received $7.5 million in funding from public safety in January 2019. Brian was able to report the promising early benefits that this program is bringing to our community in the 18 months it's been operating. SAFE, as it's called, has already provided support for 1,460 separate children and youth clients and has supported over 269 parents and caregivers. They also provided culturally sensitive support, such as counseling in one's preferred language, to over 243 clients. This amazing work, and I commend all of the SAFE partners for working to reduce the prevalence of youth gang violence in our community. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
L'honorable.
The Honourable Member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to take off my mask. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank all the people of Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. When I asked for pictures of special places in our riding, they responded. Many photos were received, and some of them were published in a calendar showcasing the treasures of Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. I want to thank them for their participation and show how appreciative I am. Sophie Moissan, Danielle Martel, Michel Roy, Michel Paré, Yvon Boisvert, Claude Huot, Alain Pichette, Sarah Ponton, Pascal Cotet, Conrad Léveillé, William Kayer, Marie-Christine Dionnet, Luc Langlais, Mario Lucchesi, Geneviève Roger, Léo Denis Carpentier, Suzanne Claveau, Joanne Delille, Michel Roy, Étienne Dusablon, Olga Maria Ramirez. In these difficult days, your photos brighten the lives of everyone who lives in Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier, and I say keep taking pictures. Thank you.
L'honorable député d'Orléans.
The Honourable Member for Orléans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In this February 1st, I must recognize that this is the beginning of Black History Month. I want to sincerely thank the Black community in Orléans for its community commitment and its contributions to our culture. I also want to draw your attention today to the important role that women and young girls in our communities play. That's why every year I want to recognize the leadership that they show through volunteer activities with the Merit Awards of women and young girls who are leaders of Orléans. This activity is possible thanks to the cooperation of the Orléans community, without whose help I would not be able to identify these exceptional women. So today I want to thank the people of Orléans for their dedication, passion, and drive. Thanks to you, we live in an inclusive and respectful community. The Honourable Member for Richmond-Arthabaska. You're on mute. Mr. Speaker, February is Black History Month. It's an opportunity to highlight their great contribution to our country. Black Canadians have undergone great challenges. Some arrived enslaved before the practice of slavery was abolished in 1793. Others came to this country as immigrants and took part in building this great nation. In this House, Progressive Conservative Lincoln Alexander led the way, becoming the first Black MP, federal minister, and lieutenant governor. Prime Minister Brian Mulroney also appointed the first Black Senator, Donald Oliver. Thanks to them and many others, much progress has been made to fight against discrimination and racism. This month, I invite everyone to remember the contribution of all these Black men and women who are pioneers. Continue the work.
The Honourable Member for Kenora.
Mr. Speaker, today marks 26 years since Niskantika First Nation in my riding fell under a boil water advisory. But not only has this community had to overcome the advisory itself, but last year a malfunction with the water system caused residents to have to evacuate entirely. This government has stated that no relationship is more important to them than their relationship with Indigenous peoples. However, their inaction on this issue speaks far louder than their hollow words. All that community residents have been asking for is for the government to keep the promise that they made and put an end to this crisis. Unfortunately, we have seen broken promises, finger pointing, and endless excuses from the Liberals. It is time that they finally take some responsibility and get to work, Mr. Speaker. I am once again urging the government to ensure the right to clean drinking water for all Canadians.
The honourable member for Hamilton Centre.
Mr. Speaker, this weekend I had the honor and privilege to join the Hamilton Black History Council in officially launching Black History Month in our community. The 4 pillars selected for this year's launch were empowerment, education, connection, and celebration. We heard from Hamilton's first junior librarian in residence, Anara, who at 11 reminded us that empowerment comes both from our communities and from within ourselves. The distinguished scholar and Order of Canada member, Dr. Gary Warner, taught us about the importance of having role models in education. And the Montague sisters shared their passion for building and maintaining deep connections within Hamilton's Black-owned businesses and Black-led organizations. Mr. Speaker, I was proud to be given the Pillar of Celebration in thanking the event hosts, Terry and Corey, and all the incredible community volunteers and civic leaders of African Canadian descent who work tirelessly to care for and support us through these difficult times. Our Black history in Canada continues to be written by us each and every day.
L'honorable député.
The honourable member for Salaberry-sur-Loire. Mr. Speaker, this is National Suicide Prevention Week. I would invite everyone to show empathy and to stand together. No one is exempt from these feelings of distress, especially during this pandemic. Everybody has had to make sacrifices. We can think of our young people who are experiencing great change, of the boys, the men, but also the girls, the women, and seniors. Distress does not care about our age. It doesn't care about what we do or what our social status is. It strikes people who live alone, but also fathers and mothers, entrepreneurs, farmers. No one is sheltered from what can happen, these feelings. In this special week, I want, on behalf of all the Bloc Québécois members, to thank the organizations that work to prevent suicide and assist those who are suffering. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Cloverdale, Langley City.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians' well-being is disintegrating under prolonged lockdown orders that just keep on coming. Yesterday, we read the heartbreaking news that there is a disturbing doubling trend of infants with head trauma and broken bones coming to hospitals across the country, indicating the fact that parents and caregivers are struggling and need hope. Many Canadians have pinned their hope on the speedy rollout of a vaccine, and who could blame them? The Prime Minister told us that was the key to opening. Now, with the vaccine rollout failing badly, we've been warning about this from the very start. It's like watching a car wreck in slow motion as provinces see their promised doses go undelivered. The combination of a deal gone bad with China, a secretive vaccine task force, zero manufacturing rights negotiated for Canadian production, the September vaccination timeline is beginning to look like a pipe dream. Here on this side of the House, we've been fighting tirelessly to find actual solutions that could bring hope and help. Canadians can count on Conservatives to secure healthcare, secure our economy, and secure our future.
The honourable member for Toronto Centre.
Mr. Speaker, it is the first day of Black History Month, and 25 years ago, the Honourable Jean Augustine introduced a motion that was carried unanimously by the House of Commons to recognize February as Black History Month in Canada. I'm here, Mr. Speaker, a Black female MP, because Ms. Augustine blazed a trail, and her journey was not easy, and the challenges continue today. Social injustice, systemic racism, socioeconomic inequality have scarred Black communities. There is a call for justice and healing. Hate has no place. This month is about honoring brilliant Black Canadians who've contributed to every aspect of our country. It is also about looking forward, and that means mentorship, opportunity, understanding, not just this month, but every month. Celebrate, educate, advocate. Joya Mad.
Happy Black History Month. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Oral questions, question orale. The honourable member for Portage Lisker.
Mr. Speaker, Line 5 pipeline that feeds Ontario and Quebec from the U.S. is vital to ensuring jobs in Canada and our energy security. It's essential for keeping thousands of jobs in both Quebec and Ontario, as well as literally keeping the lights and heat on in both of these provinces. It also provides all the jet fuel for Toronto's Pearson Airport. Its importance to Canada cannot be overstated. What is the Prime Minister doing to ensure that Line 5 is not cancelled?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we take this issue very seriously. Line 5 is vital to our energy security. It supplies Imperial, Shell, and Suncor's refineries in Sarnia. It supplies Suncor's refinery in Montreal and Valero's refinery in Lévis, Quebec. It delivers 66% of the crude oil consumed in Quebec. It also supplies propane to hundreds of thousands of homes in northern Michigan. Businesses and refineries in that state depend on it. I can assure this House we are looking at all our options. Line 5 is a vital pipeline for Canada's energy security, and we support it. Merci.
Member for Portage-Lisker.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that wasn't the Prime Minister, and that didn't sound like a very comforting answer. Line 5 survival is not an option. Canada's largest airport needs it. Farming and industrial sectors need it. And our economy, already suffering from the pandemic, cannot afford to shed any more jobs. Now, the Prime Minister has a choice. He can stand up for Line 5's continued safe existence or allow thousands of jobs to disappear and leave millions of Canadians out in the cold and the dark. When's he going to do his job and take real steps to ensure Line 5 and our economic future?
The Honourable Minister.
As I said, Mr. Speaker, we take this issue very seriously. Line 5 is vital to our energy security, and in defending Canada's interests with any country, we take a Team Canada approach, just as we did very successfully with NAFTA. On Line 5, these are improvements to modernize an existing piece of energy infrastructure. It's irresponsible. It serves no one to conflate that with other issues. But I can tell you on this side of the House, we are working responsibly, diligently to support our oil and gas workers, keeping existing treaties in mind, protecting Canada's energy and industrial infrastructure.
The Honourable Member for Portage-Lisker.
The fact is, American policies are threatening Canadian jobs, and the Prime Minister, through 3 different presidents, has just shrugged his shoulders and let it happen. Whether it's softwood lumber, Keystone XL, Biden's Buy America, and now Line 5, this Prime Minister is failing to stand up for Canadian jobs. While he loves to blame the premiers for his failures, the fact is it's his job to stand up for Canadian jobs. When will the Prime Minister do something to stop the job losses that are coming as a direct result of these U.S. policies?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's irresponsible. It serves no one to conflate Line 5 with Keystone XL or any other project. President Biden's decision to rescind the permit for KXL has no impact on Enbridge's Line 5 or Line 3 replacement projects. These pipelines continue to operate. These are projects to modernize existing energy infrastructure that has been in place since 1953. It's driven by safety and it's driven by good labor jobs. Both of these projects have been repeatedly validated by the U.S. Pipelines and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, Canada has passed the 20,000 mark for COVID deaths. But Canada's always in reaction mode. There's no border plan and no progress on vaccination. Quebec's ready to vaccinate 250,000 people a week. We know, but we got 0 vaccines last week and very little this week. How is Canada going to get back on track to vaccinate the majority of Canadians by September? The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as today is the first day of Black History Month in Canada, I would like to take a moment to recognize the outstanding achievements of the Black community here in Canada and around the world, and to remind the House that I, as Procurement Minister, remain committed to diversity in procurement, including by reaching out to the Black community. In terms of the question being answered, I'm pleased to say that we have vaccines en route to Canada and being deployed across this country on Monday and Tuesday of this week. And we will continue to bring vaccines into this country to meet our quarterly target of 6 million vaccines. And then in Q2, 20 million of approved vaccines.
L'honorable député de Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord.
The honourable member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, it's the same old song every time from this government. They think everything's hunky-dory, but the fact is that Moderna announced on Friday they will be delivering less vaccine than expected. The EU is going to restrict exports. Before our very eyes, Canada is tumbling down in the rankings of national vaccination rates. Seniors, frontline workers, and the vulnerable are waiting. They're the ones who are paying the price. When is the government going to provide the provinces with enough doses to meet their timelines? The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the honourable member for the question. I want to be clear with Canadians as their concerns are completely valid. There is no situation more pressing for our government than ensuring that all Canadians have access to vaccines against COVID-19. The production of these vaccines remains in early stages, and as factories ramp up their production lines, so too will our government be always prepared for the receipt of vaccinations in this country. Canada remains on track to ensure that we have vaccines in this country for every Canadian who chooses to be vaccinated by the end of September 2021. There's no issue more pressing for our government at this time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for La Prairie. When it comes to vaccine supply, it's one failure after another. 0 doses of vaccine last week, 80% fewer doses of Pfizer for the first 2 weeks of February, and Moderna is now announcing a 20% drop in the weeks to come. It's a disaster, Mr. Speaker. What's worse, the Prime Minister told us last week that everything was fine. Oh, that's pretty worrisome when you see this government that can't roll out the program properly. It's one failure after another. What guarantees do we have that vaccine deliveries are going to get back on schedule for Quebec and the rest of Canada? The Honourable Minister.
Well, I thank the honourable member for the question, and as I said, we share the concern of all Canadians to ensure that vaccines come into this country. That's why, Mr. Speaker, we are pleased to announce that the Pfizer vaccines destined for Canada are indeed en route and will be deployed across this country during the course of this week. And from here on in, our vaccine receipts will continue to ramp up so that we can ensure that all Canadians who wish to be vaccinated are so prior to the end of September. This is new technology, Mr. Speaker. These are new times for the industrial world relating to vaccines, and we must all ensure that we remain vigilant while vaccines are being produced.
Honorable député de La Prairie.
The honourable member for La Prairie. I'm no more reassured. The government says everything's going well, but Quebec has run out of doses. The government says everything's going well, but The Economist says Canada won't finish vaccinating everyone until the summer of 2022. That's 9 months late. The government is telling us that things are going well, but experts everywhere else in the world are looking at the situation and saying things aren't going well in Canada at all. What very concrete steps is the government going to take to get us back on track? The Honourable Minister.
Monsieur le Président, nous partageons.
Mr. Speaker, we share the urgency that Canadians are feeling to ensure that vaccines are available as quickly as possible. And our government every day shares that sense of urgency. With over 1.1 million doses already distributed all across the country to date, and with vaccines that remain to be approved, we are in a good position to have 6 million doses by the end of March and 20 million by the end of June and 70 million doses by the end of September. That's our priority. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The honourable member for Burnaby South.
Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Families have sacrificed a lot during this pandemic. They've stopped seeing their loved ones, even who live in the same city. The Prime Minister has to do his share. Non-essential flights are still a possibility in Canada. There are countries like New Zealand and Australia that have cancelled all non-essential flights. Why? doesn't the Prime Minister stop non-essential flights from taking place in Canada? The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, since March of 2020, we've been asking Canadians to not travel during the pandemic. Last week, we announced additional rules on international travel. These are now among the strictest in the world. We've reached an agreement with airlines to suspend all flights to Mexico and the Caribbean until April 30th. Additionally, all travelers will soon have to book 3 nights at a public health-approved quarantine facility upon their return and get tested upon arrival. The health of Canadians will always come first, Mr. Speaker.
I want to remind the honourable members, whether they're asking or answering questions, please make sure that your camera is on and make sure that your microphone is off or is muted while you're not speaking. The honourable member for Burnaby South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Families have had to sacrifice so much during this pandemic. Many families haven't even seen their loved ones living in the same city. The Prime Minister has to do his part as well. It's still possible to take non-essential flights in Canada. While other countries like New Zealand and Australia have stopped all non-essential travel, why hasn't the Prime Minister put in place similar measures here in Canada to stop all non-essential air travel?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I stated earlier, our current rules are among the strictest in the world. We've been calling on all Canadians to avoid non-essential travels. We've reached an agreement with the airlines to suspend all flights that are heading towards most popular vacation destinations. We now have, on top of the measures that we've implemented earlier in the year, we've now implemented new measures that will require all arrivals to be tested and to be quarantined at a designated facility. The health of Canadians is our priority, and we will do whatever it takes to protect Canadians.
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Well, Mr. Speaker, a year after telling Canadians that border controls didn't stop the spread of COVID, the virus is now rampant across Canada, and documents show that the Liberals stalled on imposing travel restrictions at the start of the first wave, again at the beginning of the second wave, when doing so would have saved lives. The Liberals could have put in place a system of rapid testing at airports months ago, but refused this science-based approach. Canada is 2 million doses short of vaccines this week. Will those who are vaccinated be exempt from the Liberals' too late travel restrictions?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my colleague for her question. As I stated earlier, Canada today has one of the strictest rules in the world for discretionary travel. We have called a year ago on all Canadians to avoid non-essential travel. We've implemented new measures earlier in the year to make sure that all travelers are tested prior to boarding the plane, and now we're implementing new measures. There is no evidence, we still don't have information about the effect of vaccine on transmissibility. Therefore, all Canadians will be subjected to these measures.
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
So now the Liberals are saying that even being vaccinated doesn't guarantee an end to restrictions. Canadians have stayed at home. They've washed their hands, they've worn masks, and they've sacrificed a lot. With rapid tests and vaccinations available to the world, but not to us, Canadians shouldn't have to accept more restrictions without a clear end in sight and without that type of a word salad from the minister. How many Canadians will have to be vaccinated before travel restrictions are eased?
The Honourable Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I will just say this, the issue of vaccination and travel is a live one. I met with my G7 counterparts last week to talk about standardization of travel, international travel. Of course, my colleague is correct. We know that vaccination saves lives. The science is still unclear yet about what effect it has on transmission. That science is evolving, and we will be sharing the understandings and knowledge of vaccination as it becomes clear with Canada and the world.
L'honorable député.
The honourable member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, On January 29th, the European Union announced a COVID vaccine export permit system. The minister knows full well this could be used to block vaccine shipments to Canada. Nearly 120 countries have been exempted, but guess what? Canada has not. The government claims Canada won't be affected. Can the minister resist the temptation to read her prepared speaking notes and say whether or not vaccine shipments will be blocked? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, we have been reassured that vaccine deliveries will not be interrupted by these new measures taken by the European Union. That's the Prime Minister, that's what he heard from the President of the EU Commission and what our ministers have heard from their counterparts in Europe over the weekend. This is our government's top priority, ensuring that all Canadians who wish to be vaccinated, that they get vaccinated by September. The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, I understand what the Parliamentary Secretary is saying, but the facts are the facts. Currently, given the blockade that Europe is planning, we don't see Canada among the exempted countries. So the Prime Minister may have had a discussion with the President of the EU, but did he ask for Canada to be included in the exemption list, yes or no? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, it's clear that there is global competition. It's very intense and ferocious for vaccines, and we all knew there would be one, and that's why Canada entered into contracts with 7 different manufacturers. Over the weekend, when we were discussing with the Vice President of the European Commission, we said that we expect our contracts to be respected, and the Minister of International Trade was reassured by the European counterpart. Shipments to Canada should not be affected by these new measures. The Honourable Member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Kelowna Lake Country.
Mr. Speaker, on Friday, the European Union announced export controls on COVID-19 vaccines. Considering almost all of our vaccines are produced or shipped from the EU, this could have a significant impact. Despite claims from the Prime Minister and the Trade Minister that Canadians wouldn't be affected by these measures, we are not listed on the EU list as one of the over 100 countries who are exempt. Why?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And as my colleague heard directly from the minister earlier today at committee, we have been reassured that vaccine shipments will not be interrupted by these new measures. That is the message the Prime Minister himself received from the President of the EU Commission, and the message that various ministers across government have received from their EU counterparts over the course of this last weekend. Our government's priority remains getting vaccines to Canadians by September, and we will deliver.
The Honourable Member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The point is we're still not on the exemption list. Another issue is we've learned that Belgium, where Canada's Pfizer vaccines are produced and shipped from, is looking at its own export controls. When I asked the minister about this earlier today, she couldn't provide any concrete assurances that Canada wouldn't be affected by Belgium's draft law. What is the minister doing to get ahead of these potential measures, which could affect timelines for Canadians being vaccinated?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And as my colleague is well aware, the minister did have conversations with her counterpart in Belgium and did receive reassurances that our shipments would not be affected by these new EU measures. But let me just say that there is intense global competition for vaccines across countries, and we always knew there would be. And that's why Canada secured no less than 7 different vaccine suppliers, and we will continue to deliver vaccines for Canadians, Mr. Speaker.
L'honorable député de Avignon.
The Honourable Member for Avignon-la-Métis-Matane-Matapédia. Mr. Speaker, despite the government's announcement, there's nothing preventing non-essential flights during the pandemic. All that has changed is that those who want to travel south have to purchase their tickets from an American airline like Delta instead of a Canadian one. Foreign carriers continue to offer discounted vacations. It's good to test travelers when they come back, but doesn't the minister agree that the safest way to prevent the spread is for people not to go on vacation in the first place? Why aren't all non-essential flights by all airlines being banned? The Honourable Minister.
Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker, Canada had already had some of the strictest measures in the world, and those have been strengthened this week. We have agreements with Sunwing, Air Canada, WestJet, Air Transat for no more flights to Mexico and the Caribbean. We're repatriating people. They have to be tested before they take off and on arrival. And if they don't have a negative result, they'll remain in quarantine. So these are very strict measures. And we're telling all Canadians, if you can't afford what's required on return, then don't leave in the first place. The Honourable Member for Pierre Boucher, Les Patriotes Verchères. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think we're hearing different things. Finally, the government did take action, but it didn't solve the problem. The problem is that people are going on vacation in the south. And today, with the new conditions, they can still go on vacation. The only difference is that they have to take an American airline instead of a Canadian one. It doesn't work. What they're doing is they're putting airline workers on unemployment here in Canada and giving the business to American airlines. Why isn't the government banning all non-essential flights? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, what doesn't work is the Bloc's position. They're trying to criticize the government, but we've met the requests of the Quebec government. They're satisfied with the steps we've taken. These are some of the strictest measures in the world, Mr. Speaker, and our message is straightforward to Canadians. If you don't want to have any problems when you return to Canada, then don't leave. If you don't want to have a complicated situation to come back to, don't leave in the first place. The Honourable Member for Pierre Boucher, Les Patriotes Verchères, the government House Leader, Mr. Speaker, it claims he's met our demands, but that's not true. We want all non-essential travel banned, and that hasn't happened. People can still travel south, but they have to use an American airline. And the government has saying that it won't bail out the airline industry until refunds are paid out and so on. Quebecers are fed up with these half measures. When is the government going to take steps to truly tackle this problem? This is just complaining, Mr. Speaker. The government hasn't met the Bloc's request. We took our own decision. It's very nice of them to make suggestions, but we don't need their help to make decisions. We made what was a logical decision. We took some of the most effective steps in the world so that there are now conditions applying to pre-departure and then on return. Before you take off, you have to go through a whole bunch of tests. You have to spend 3 days in a hotel. And these are strict measures, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, Conservatives have supported from the start emergency funding to help the pandemic unemployed, buy groceries, pay rent and mortgages. Yesterday, a 21-year-old Kingston student boasted in the New York Times that he made $9,000 by making a highly speculative investment of his CERB dollars in a stock market play. Mr. Speaker, given that emergency support will be necessary for many more months because of the Liberal vaccine shortfall, how can they explain easy cash for stock market play, even as thousands of other Canadians are still denied funds to survive?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, when Canadians needed support the most, the CERB was there to help over 9 million people pay their bills, support their families. It was there to support workers who weren't able to work because of COVID. If an applicant was over 15 years old and met all the other criteria, yes, they were able to receive the benefit. We made every effort to support as many Canadians workers as possible, including young Canadians. Many young people work to help support their families, while others live independently and have bills to pay. We are not going to apologize for helping young people, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
Well, Mr. Speaker, many deserving Canadian companies are also still denied emergency support, like a Thornhill firm, Fleet Coffee, which launched a new business just before the lockdown. A large facility was leased, 5 mobile coffee shops acquired, commercial agreements signed, and staff hired. But because it had no previous year revenues, Fleet Coffee has been denied access to the wage subsidy, rent subsidy, and credit availability programs. Mr. Speaker, do these Liberals see the inequity of the denials of these flawed programs?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank my very respected colleague for raising this important question. When we created the emergency relief programs for businesses, it was very important for us to bridge as many businesses as possible through the pandemic. And we also knew that we needed to balance that urgent need for support with the creation of programs that have real integrity. Finding that balance can be a challenge, but I am very aware of the challenges that new businesses face, and this is something we're looking at closely.
Okay, I just want to take a moment and ask everyone who's joining us virtually, the arm on the headset, if it is exactly in front of your mouth, there's a popping sound. It doesn't bother many of the people in the chamber, but it's very hard on the interpreter's ears. So if you can just make the headset either a little bit below where your mouth is or above, you don't get that popping sound, and it would save the ears of our interpreters. We certainly don't want to injure them. The Honourable Member, l'Honourable Député.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Mr. Speaker, when a Canadian loses their job because of COVID, the Prime Minister tells them to turn to EI, and if they don't qualify for that, apply for the CRB. It's like asterisk asking for an A38 permit in the place that sends you mad, Mr. Speaker. If you have to apply for EI and don't qualify, when you turn to the CRB, you're automatically turned down because you applied for EI. Can the Minister of Employment find the right window to talk to the Minister of Revenue so that Canadians who are entitled to assistance can actually get it? The Honourable Minister.
We know that this continues to be a difficult time for many, which is why we transitioned to a simplified EI program and created 3 new recovery benefits. Service Canada and the CRA work together to share data on Canadians who apply to ensure that only one benefit is paid to someone at any given time. And in some instances, yes, this integrity measure can cause a delay, but we understand that any delay in receiving benefits can be hard for people. So we're continuing to work on this to ensure that Canadians get the benefits they're entitled to in a timely manner.
The Honourable Member for Skeena Bulkley Valley.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians have been asking this government to act on travel, especially with new strains of the virus threatening efforts to bring the pandemic under control. But while this government stalled, thousands of international flights landed in Canada. With the latest announcement, we again see the government saying the right things, but introducing half measures that won't keep Canada safe. Why are flights from known hotspots for new strains not being suspended? Why are even popular sun destinations like Florida missing from the list? And when will this government get serious about travel?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, my colleague, for his question. And I'm surprised he's calling some of the strictest rules in the world to be half measured. Let me remind my colleague that since March of last year, we asked all Canadians to cancel non-essential flights. We banned foreigners. We implemented a 14-day quarantine. And earlier this year, we've added a pre-boarding test that is necessary prior for anybody to arrive into Canada. And last week, we've announced further layers to restrict discretionary travel. So those are important measures that are protecting the health and safety of Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Newmarket, Aurora.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To guarantee a better and healthier Canada for future generations, we must start taking action to protect our environment now. Our government has recently announced an ambitious climate plan to do exactly that. Can the Minister of Natural Resources update this House on the government's plan to plant 2 billion trees over the next 10 years?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the honourable member for his question. In December, we launched our plan to plant 2 billion new trees. The first of these trees are going to be planted this spring. Our plan increases annual tree planting in Canada by 40%. It permanently increases forest cover by an area twice the size of PEI. We're working with provinces and territories, Indigenous communities, NGOs, municipalities to get this right. Mr. Speaker, trees matter. They clean our air and water. They lower our energy costs. They improve our biodiversity. Generations of Canadians for decades to come will recognize the importance of this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Cowichan, Malahat, Langford.
Mr. Speaker, we're 11 months into the pandemic and we continue to find gaps in federal supports for small businesses. For example, to be eligible for the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, a business must have had a payroll account on March 15th of 2020, and there are very limited exceptions to this rule. Similar rules are in place for the Canada Emergency Rent Subsidy. The existing law is detrimental to new businesses that started their operations during the pandemic, but which are struggling with the same restrictions and revenue losses. Why hasn't the Liberal government fixed the wage subsidy for startups, and will the minister commit to doing so at the earliest opportunity?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And every day when I speak to entrepreneurs, I'm told again and again how important our wage subsidy is. It is a veritable lifeline for businesses from coast to coast to coast. And just recently, we launched a new program, the Highly Affected Businesses Program, that is really going to come and support our hospitality industry, our tourism industry. And I would like to just emphasize how important it is to get the message out to our entrepreneurs across Canada to make sure that they're aware of this new program. We will continue to work on new programs for new businesses and startups, and I would be happy to work with my colleague opposite in order to get his ideas and thoughts.
The honourable member for Foothills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Over the last 4 years, more than 16,000 Canadians have died from opioid overdoses. During that time, Dominic Barton, the Liberals' hand-picked ambassador to China, was turbocharging OxyContin sales, even providing rebates for drug overdoses. Dominic Barton was a managing partner with McKinsey, which is accused of shady deals with China, destroying evidence, and stoking the opioid crisis. Before naming him to key positions in the Liberal government, did the Prime Minister know of Mr. Barton's role in the opioid crisis?
The Honourable Minister. The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I will not comment on that question, but I will say that Dominic Barton is an extraordinary ambassador for Canada, given his vast experience with China, and Canada can be assured that we are well served by his very hard work in Beijing on behalf of all of Canada.
Honourable member for Foothills.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals can't avoid this question. McKinsey, the company that Mr. Barton worked for, is in the process of settling lawsuits over advice it gave to drug companies to aggressively bolster OxyContin sales. In fact, the OxyContin manufacturer has pled guilty to criminal charges, including bribing doctors, deliberately contributing to the opioid epidemic. Again, did the Prime Minister, was he informed of the role that Dominic Barton played in turbocharging the opioid epidemic?
The Honourable Minister.
And again, Mr. Speaker, I will say exactly the same thing. I will not comment on those allegations from my colleague, but I will say that Ambassador Barton is doing an extraordinary job on behalf of Canada in Beijing to help build our relationship with an important country, China. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Carleton.
When the Prime Minister took office, he told us that deficit financing would boost growth. But in 3 of the 4 years that followed, per capita GDP growth has been zero. In fact, and that was before COVID. And in fact, the last 5 years of per capita GDP growth have been the worst since the Great Depression. The government went ahead and asked for $700 billion more of borrowing authorizations, and since then the IMF has downgraded growth projections for Canada by 1/3, below the US, the Eurozone, the average of the advanced economies. When will they realize that you can't put economic growth on the national credit card?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank the honourable member for the question because it gives me the opportunity to congratulate Canadian businesses on their resilience. Our GDP increased 0.3% in December, nearly twice as much as the consensus forecast. And our fourth quarter GDP increased 1.9%. That's an annualized rate of 7.8% and nearly twice as much as the Bank of Canada's forecast. COVID is tough for our economy and our businesses, but they are doing a terrific job.
The honourable member for Carleton.
Well, in addition to dragging down growth, government borrowing risks driving up inflation. According to CIBC's economist Avery Shenfield, additional government spending being offset by the earlier need to hike interest rates to contain inflation. And, quote, Mr. Speaker, higher interest rates would be a disaster for the households, businesses, and governments whose combined debts are almost 4 times the size of our entire economy. Higher interest rates could collapse our economy. Why is this government risking our economic future on credit card debts instead of securing it with paychecks?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the truth is that our government's policies are working. They are supporting Canadians and Canadian businesses in a very difficult time. And let me quote David Parkinson in the Globe and Mail. I quote, examining economic data of 2020, there's no question that the federal government's emergency income replacement programs were a critical lifeline for Canada during the pandemic. We would have plunged into a much deeper economic hole without them. That's true, Mr. Speaker, and we're going to continue supporting Canadians and Canadian.
L'honorable député de Lac-Saint-Jean.
The honourable member for Lac-Saint-Jean. This government says that it doesn't need the Bloc. Well, last week, all parties joined their voices to the leader of the Bloc Québécois to ask the government to grant citizenship to Raif Badawi. All parties, including the Liberals, asked the Minister of Immigration to use his discretionary power to make him a citizen. That will make it easier for this political prisoner to access consular services and will enable Canada to undertake further measures to free him. Will the Minister of Immigration take note of this Chamber's unanimous request and make Raif Badawi a Canadian citizen? The Honourable Minister.
L'honorable ministre.
The Honourable Minister.
Monsieur le Président, le Canada.
Mr. Speaker, Canada will always defend human rights everywhere in the world. Canadian officials will continue raising his case at the highest levels. We will request that clemency be granted to Mr. Badawi, and we hope that he will soon be able to join his family. The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean. That wasn't the question, Mr. Speaker. When the Minister of Foreign Affairs was in opposition in 2015, he wrote that the eyes of the entire world will be placed on Canada to ask that the government use all diplomatic means to request Raif Badawi's freedom. And the Prime Minister in 2015 said that it was time to act. Well, today, the Liberals are in power, and all parties are asking them to make Raif Badawi a Canadian citizen. At the time, the Liberal opposition spoke a lot on this subject, and now that these same Liberals are in government, will they finally take action? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for his question, and I'd like to thank him for his hard work on this important matter. This motion shows Canadians' concern about the unjust detention of Mr. Badawi. We will continue to work closely with all parliamentarians to attempt to reunite Mr. Badawi with his family. And while we are talking about human rights, when will the leader of the Bloc apologize to the Minister of Transport for his remarks? Thank you.
Lambton.
Mr. Speaker, 50,000 jobs. 50,000 jobs on both sides of the border are at risk if the Prime Minister doesn't take serious action to save Line 5. Enbridge has been issued new permits by the Michigan government to make a safe project even safer by encasing the existing pipe in a tunnel along the bottom of the Straits of Mackinac. The Natural Resources Minister has pledged his support. Will the Prime Minister commit to speaking with President Biden about the importance of saving Line 5?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, and I thank the honourable member for her question. She and I have been speaking about this. This is obviously hugely important, not only for her riding, but as she mentioned, for Canadian industry. We are working alongside Ambassador Hillman and Detroit's Consul General there, Jill Comartin, and I want to thank them for their tireless efforts on this. Mr. Speaker, we are loud and clear on the side of the House. We support Line 5. We will continue to advocate for it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For Benth Airdrie.
When asked about Keystone's cancellation, the Liberal-appointed ambassador to the United States simply shrugged, "It's time to let Keystone XL go." That's what the Liberal government did: denigrate our natural resources sector, ignore the threat of the project being canceled, and then tell thousands of Canadians who were counting on these jobs to let it go. Oil and gas projects must be part of the way forward for economic recovery. So when will the government actually do something to stand up for clean, ethical, job-creating Canadian energy?
The Honourable, je m'excuse, nous avons un appel au règlement. L'honorable député de Shefford.
Oui, Monsieur le Président, nous n'entendons pas la traduction.
Nous avons un problème de traduction.
There's an issue with the interpretation.
Je crois qu'il y a un problème avec les microphones, avec
I think the problem is that there is an issue with the microphone of the computer being selected rather than the one on the headset, but the headset one needs to be selected. I've noticed that with some of the MPs, not everyone.
Check on your screen, you'll see a little microphone at the bottom. If you click on that and make sure it's on your Plantronic headset and not on the computer microphone, that way we'll make sure that everything comes through clear and we have perfect translation. So that's my technology trick for today, or my little lesson. Now we'll go on to the Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it is incumbent upon us to safeguard our relationship with the single largest customer for Canadian crude. In fact, over the past 5 years, Canadian oil has continuously displaced foreign sources in the U.S. market. Canadian crude now represents 60% of all oil imported by the U.S. That's up from 40%. Because of this government, new pipelines are under construction. Trans Mountain and Line 3 will provide us with the ability to expand our energy exports. We are proud of our energy workers, Mr. Speaker. We support them. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Provencher.
When the Prime Minister was the opposition leader of a third party, he suggested that Keystone XL would have been approved if Canada had stronger environmental policy, stronger oversight, tougher penalties, and yes, some sort of means to price carbon pollution. Well, I wonder how that's all working out for the Prime Minister. How many gut punches does the Prime Minister think energy workers need to take before he's willing to stand up for them and Canada's national interests?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the other night during the emergency debate, I listened carefully to the opposition. Some of what they said really shocked me. I mean, the member for Foothills called TMX a white elephant. On this side of the House, we are proud that TMX is finally being built, no thanks to the Conservatives. 7,000 plus jobs that TMX has already created. It's not a white elephant. Those are real jobs, real workers in Alberta, real support from this government. We are proud of our hardworking oil and gas workers, Mr. Speaker. We have their backs. Thank you.
L'honorable député de Bourassa.
The Honourable Member for Bourassa. Mr. Speaker, this year is the 25th anniversary of Black History Month in Canada. Thanks to the motion tabled by the Honourable Jean Augustine in this House, it's a month to celebrate and recognize the many contributions and achievements of Black people in Canada. Can the Minister of Diversity tell us about the commitments made by our government in order to make Canada more fair and inclusive? The Honourable Minister. I'd like to thank the member for Bourassa for his leadership. As he knows, our government will always support Black Canadians. We have invested millions of dollars in various areas, supporting capacities in Black communities as well as young Black Canadians, mental health programs that are based on culture, entrepreneurship, and an anti-racism strategy. But we know that there is more to do. This Black History Month, join us in celebrating and recognizing the many contributions of Black Canadians for more than 400 years. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Selkirk, Interlake Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, Manitoba farmers, ranchers, First Nations, cottage owners, and municipalities are all stuck in limbo because of Liberal dithering and inaction. Despite repeated calls from the province of Manitoba, this Liberal government refuses to sign the joint agreement for the Lake Manitoba and Lake St. Martin Outlet Channels project. For the last 5 years, they promised to fund the channel, to protect Manitobans, and to reduce the catastrophic damages from future floods. But they refuse to put pen to paper to make it happen. Why are these Liberals failing Manitobans again?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I guess I would just correct the record. We have been working very actively with the Government of Manitoba on this issue. The Government of Manitoba has now provided the first tranche of information to the Impact Assessment Agency. We continue to await the second tranche of information that would allow us to proceed through the process as it should be done, as it is always done. And we have been working very productively with the Minister of Infrastructure in Manitoba on this issue.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton West.
Mr. Speaker, documents we obtained on sole source COVID spending by the Liberal government show a baffling item. Over $115,000 was paid out to Poets Cove Luxury Resort by Fisheries and Oceans in April 2020, a month after the pandemic was declared. So, how does spending $115,000 of taxpayers' money at a secluded millionaire luxury resort help Canadians in the fight against COVID?
Honourable Minister. The Honourable Minister.
Bueller.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the Honourable Member for the question. I would be happy to speak with the member directly and get more information about the contract that he is referring to. If it is a PSPC matter, I will take it under advisement. If not, I will make sure that our government gets back to him. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Lambton, Kent, Middlesex.
Mr. Speaker, parents in my riding of Lambton, Kent, Middlesex have struggled to participate in online classes because of slow internet. Some of my constituents are receiving $800 internet bills because their only connection is through cell service. The government has promised to expand rural internet infrastructure, but as usual, these Liberals are all talk and no action. Mr. Speaker, will the minister tell rural Canadians like mine in Lambton, Kent, Middlesex why they should have to choose between educating their children and paying their home heating bills?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, my colleague speaks to a frustration that far too many Canadians are experiencing, particularly during COVID. We have heard them in our first mandate. We invested to connect 1.7 million households to this essential service. In this mandate, that work continues with additional funds, making the Government of Canada the single largest government investor in broadband ever. Just last week, our partnership with Southwestern Ontario was swift to move forward. Partners in Wellington are now connected. Communities in Caledon are beginning their construction, and there's more news to come, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Cape Breton, Kenso.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On January 11th, the J.A. Douglas McCurdy Airport in Sydney, in my riding of Cape Breton-Canso, bid farewell to their last commercial flight indefinitely. The member from Sydney, Victoria, and I have heard from countless constituents on their concerns around flight resumption. Mr. Speaker, could the Honourable Minister of Transportation please update this House and my constituents in Cape Breton-Canso on the work our government is doing to secure air travel in my region and regions in similar situations across this country?
The Honourable Minister.
Speaker, I want to thank my colleague for his strong advocacy for his region and for this particular matter. We know how regional airports are important for workers and communities in Cape Breton and across the country. The air sector has been hit hard by the pandemic, and that's why the government will invest more than $1.1 billion to support key players such as airport authorities and regional airlines. Discussions with major airlines on support for the sector are ongoing right now, and will prioritize the reinstallation of regional routes that connect our communities, such as Sydney.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg Centre.
Mr.
Mr. Speaker, last week, the Independent Investigation Unit of Manitoba cleared the police officer involved in the fatal shooting of 16-year-old Aisha Hudson of any charges. The police officer was not questioned, provided a statement, and that was the end of it. Police violence without consequence in Canada is a norm. Rodney Levi, Chantel Moore, and others, all resulting in deaths. Mr. Speaker, how many deaths of Indigenous people at the hands of police need to happen before this government acts?
Honourable Minister.
I want to thank the member for what is a very important question, and we recognize the importance of transparency and accountability for all police actions. And the relationship between the police and the people they serve has to be predicated on trust, and that trust requires transparency and accountability for all police actions. Mr. Speaker, we've made commitments to bring forward reform on these issues, and we're working with our provincial and territorial partners to ensure that all Canadians can be assured that the police actions will always be accountable to the people they serve.
The Honourable Member for Kitchener South Hespeler.
Mr. Speaker, many Canadians already found it difficult to make ends meet, and this pandemic has only made things worse. To reduce the cost of living, the government asked telecommunications providers to lower their already high prices by 25% over 3 years. Est-ce que le ministre peut expliquer?
Can the minister explain how the government will ensure that the price will be lowered?
The government will ensure that these prices are in fact reduced.
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member for his very important question. We understand the concerns of Canadians and families when it comes to their cell phone bills. That's why our government is taking action to make services more affordable. In keeping with our commitment to bring down prices by 25%, the latest affordability tracker is now public so that people can see for themselves where prices are going. Good news, Mr. Speaker, the tracker shows that prices for most plans have decreased between 10 and 18% in Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And that's all the time we have today. C'est tout le temps que nous avons pour la période de questions. It being 3:10 p.m., pursuant to order made on Monday, January 25th, 2021, the House will now proceed to the taking of the deferred recorded division on the motion at the second reading stage of Bill C-18. Convoquez les députés.
Call in the members.
La liste des députés.
The list of members voting by video conference has now been established for use by the table.
Is the following one. Ms. Ning, seconded by Ms. Anand, moved that Bill C-18, an act to implement the agreement on trade continuity between Canada and the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, be now read a second time and referred to the Standing Committee on International Trade.
All those in favor of the motion and participating in person will please rise.
Gerritsen.
Mr. Garrison.
Madame Lalonde.
Madame Lalonde.
Monsieur Deltel.
Monsieur Deltel.
Monsieur Godin.
Monsieur Godin.
Mr. Schmeyer.